Right, so welcome Edupedia World students to Module 5 in the Introduction to Marketing. And in this one, I always say it's sort of less exciting. When you start talking to people about what's your return on investment, or are you testing enough, are you split testing, are you using analyticals, and also the dangers of just someone saying, you know what, if I could just get enough eyeballs coming to my site or seeing my ad, then I'll be in good shape. So what we're going to really do here is we're going to discuss this absolutely critical area that covers these 5 points. And so just sort of really carrying on from what we discussed before, I want to move over back to understanding return on investment. If you remember in the previous module, my marketing funnel, sales funnel teacher, Todd Brown, his reasoning and rationale was you need to learn how to spend money to acquire a customer. You need to learn the importance of having a back end to your product, so more things to be able to offer. You need to focus on the lifetime value. Once you have a customer, are there other things you can offer them that they will take? And then gradually you'll look at your paid media as an investment, not an expense. And then going on to return on investment, there's this classic saying from many years ago, but it's managed to stand the test of time, from the marketing and advertising pioneer John Wanamaker, who was famous for saying, half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. Trouble is, I don't know which half. And everyone used to have a big chuckle about that, and there was almost this understanding that it was okay just to sort of spend some and just come away with it in the knowledge that maybe you wouldn't have quite an accurate way of looking at it. But many people, including this fella here, David Rothwell, has since taken sort of the ability to know exactly what you're making to a penny and make it a real exact science. David's the author of the AdWords Bible for e-commerce, and what he likes to do is really make sure that you no longer have cost centers but rather profit centers. So he says we manage your campaigns as profit centers so you can actually earn more than you can spend. And this other gentleman, I had the very good fortune of attending a workshop of his last year. His name is Brad Sugars. Okay, he is currently on a campaign of events called Buying Customers. And it was just a fantastic event where once again the whole emphasis is on buying the customers. And as I call them, sweet words of wisdom from Brad Sugars, he said, make marketing an investment, not an expense. He says, generate as many customers as you can at a profit. And he literally had an occasion in the evening in the presentation where he gave somebody he said to somebody, listen, will someone like to give me $10 and I'll give them 20, or £10 and I'll give them £20 back? And someone actually got up, walked up to him, gave him £10, and Brad Sugars gave this guy £20 back. And he says this is exactly what happens when you can do this correctly. But how do you know? This is the big question. How do you know whether something is working? All right. Well, you've got to measure it. You've got to measure your return on investment. And specifically, what you've got to make sure is this marketing, is this business card, is this flyer, is this website, is that commercial that I ran on the radio station, is it getting me results? So some of the things that you can measure, some of the great places to begin would be your paid advertising, your marketing promotions, your referral strategy. So you say to existing customers, look, could you sort of refer someone on and make sure they let us know that you sent them, so you can begin to measure this. Your direct mail, your social media strategy, the lifetime value of a customer. So you've got somebody who's with you. How much have they spent with you? Have you measured this? The email click-through rates. Now, this is an interesting one because ultimately, the diehards like David Rothwell will say, well, the click-through rates are very well and good, but ultimately, how many clicked the buy now button? And that's very valid, but you can measure these things. Number of views. This was another thing that once upon a time many people used to sort of say, oh, my website gets a certain number of hits. Ultimately, did they take action? Traffic to your website, blog and landing pages, and of course the big one, sales. So the next thing is, how do you measure? We've talked about the things you can measure, but what we're saying now is, how do you measure? Well, you can use analytics, tracking codes with the coupons and booking codes. You can use certain phone numbers where you know for a fact that your advert, because it rang this number, this is where it came from. Split testing and tracking, which we'll talk about. Paid advertising, database information, marketing, promotion. So via all these different areas, these are very clear places where you can actually measure quite concisely the effectiveness of your advertising and your marketing. Now, split testing, this is something that really sort of over time has just really got more and more intense, and this is just very sort of one example of ways you can split test. But as I've said here, don't get so obsessed with it that you stop creating things to test. So it's vitally important to split test, but don't just sort of end up creating so many things that you know that you stop creating products and services and programs, is what I'm saying. You've still got to have those things you're trying to sell. Don't just sort of sit and have one product and just split test everything out of it. You need to make sure that you're still creating. But looking at this one, this is how it works. All right. So on the left-hand side, what you see version A and version B, and of course they will be different. Then when you get a winner, when you get one that is proving to be more popular, right, you then get yet another ad and you match that with the one that's popular. So in effect, the popular one becomes the control. All right. So just going a bit deeper now. Version A, version B. So let's just say version A wins. You move version A over, all right, and then you create version C, and then version A and version C compete against one another. You get the winner, and you move that over and create another one. So you just continually keep moving to see which works better. And some of the things you can test are unbelievable. It might be a headline, it might be the color of a buy now button. Interestingly enough, and this was quite amazing, this was a letter that was put by a really true great, Drayton Bird. He was talking about a letter on the left and a letter on the right, and as you can see, it's very, very, very slight, the difference. It's just the sort of the bold face on one, okay? But if you have a look, the letter on the right got 60% more replies. 60%. So, you'll be amazed at how sometimes the slightest difference to something can make a really big impact. Because 60% more replies just purely because of the bold face. However, you need to be very, very careful. As I said, try not to overanalyze via analytics, okay? Sometimes you can just spend so much time doing that. Is it important to do that? Yes, it is, but don't go too nuts. You get some people who begin to test just some outrageous things when I think that a lot of the time they could just be focusing on maybe some other more important aspects of testing. And secondly, don't use traffic as a measuring metric, okay? And what I mean by that, and this is where we move forward, is I want you to focus on conversion and not traffic, all right? So what we're talking about with conversion, traffic is just people that go there and basically arrive at a platform, all right? It's almost like traffic is when you go to a workshop and you might have 500 flyers and you hand them out to everybody. That's the equivalent of traffic. What we want you to focus on is conversion, all right? And these are different kinds, website sign up, request for a brochure, scheduling a consultation, signing up for a free trial, downloading an ebook, cutting out a coupon, redeeming a coupon, requesting a phone call, completing a survey, and quoting a reference number. So if you look at it in this sort of way, this is a really great way for you to look at and understand why we really want to focus more on the conversion aspect and not the traffic. Traffic is just like kind of visitors and leads. You see, you can get those till the cows come home. However, it's the conversions at the bottom there that we really want to focus on. And naturally, the best kind of conversion are sales. It's cash in the till. And I really like that one too, because as you can see, they say personal checks not accepted. So with them, it's all about cash. That's a cash-rich company right there. So this is a short one because, as I said, what I really wanted to focus on was just make you aware of the need to test and to measure, all right, and to put various mechanisms in place, but don't get too overwhelmed with it. Certainly at the introductory level, we can go much deeper with this. There are certain modules and programs in future that I might go a lot deeper in. But for the moment, the one big takeaway that I wanted you to have here is what Keith Cunningham, a very sharp business authority, says. He says measuring is critical because without measuring you can't tell the winners from the losers. And he went a little bit further to say anyone who doesn't want to measure doesn't want to be held accountable. It was a very strong statement, but I think he is exactly right. So here is the exercise for this module. We want you to look at 3 current areas of your marketing where you are not measuring, and I'd like you to begin to do so. Okay, so just look at 3 current areas. I.e., are you saying, right, are we becoming familiar with the lifetime value of a customer? If you're not doing that, if you haven't looked at some customers and seen how much you've made from them during their entire patronage with you, right? Go there and start doing that. Another one is, are you able to see your Facebook insights, for example? Just start looking at 3 areas that you're not measuring and begin to do so. Next, I'd actually like you to sign up and go and watch this 1-hour webinar with Brad Sugars. Yes, he's a businessman and he's a very sharp marketer, so as it rolls out, he'll probably try and put you in certain funnels and so on and so forth. But the actual webinar itself, you can find it bradsugarsbuyingcustomers.com. Okay, so that is bradsugarsbuyingcustomers.com. Sign up for that free webinar and go through it because I think it will really serve you. So coming up next, probably one of the favorite areas that I'll be talking about here. It's about marketing, creativity and innovation, where we will discuss the importance of creative expression, the need to always be thinking ahead, creating additional products, services, programs, finding better ways to serve your market, and marketing tools and technology. As always, Edupedia World students, I'd love for you to connect, ask some questions, let me know what you're thinking of the modules. If you need to get some sort of deeper information about anything that we are discussing, feel free to go over to LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, to the Matrix Global Media blog, or to the YouTube channel. So thanks for joining us for this shorter module, but no less important, and I look forward to speaking to you in Module 6.